Wait, I haven't done that.
It's not just important that you have a design wall. It's important that you be able to get 20 to 30 feet away from it and really be able to study your work. Right now, my design wall is about 30 feet in front of the chair that I like to sit in the living room. And it's sort of nice that I can put a piece there that's bothering me, and I look in there when I'm, watching television, watching something I'm not that interested in. Sometimes I've got my computer in front of me. I'm interacting a bit with my family, but I'm also thinking on some level about why I don't like that tree, why I don't feel like I can really see the horse's nostrils or eye well enough. So this to me is one of the hardest parts of doing these horses. When I'm first doing the first details, I'm worried ultimately that I won't like it, but you gotta start or you can't ever get it done. So here I go. I consider this to be the touchiest, scariest part. The eye. Boy, you mess up the eye, I don't know what you do. I've learned that I like it better if I don't go too straight while I'm doing it. And I do have, I don't have a camera person right now, but right over there I have my computer open with a horse that I liked. One of the first ones I did, as big as it'll get on the screen, so that I can just kind of look at it and check it against what I'm doing here. All of this will be covered with mane, and as you can see, I've got little pieces of mane coming out from under the part I painted, as well as background started, using some of the detailing that I use on my bigger pieces. It's sort of my signature style of quilting. I bet it will come as no surprise for me to tell you that sometimes when I'm quilting, I just want to cover a lot of ground fast, especially with a background or a large part on the back of a purse. On a purse, I want to create an area that I can paint later on, and I tend to use the fabric paints a bit like watercolors. I still heat set them, but I do use them like watercolors. And with something like this, I want to cover these areas quickly, but yet I want them to add to the whole piece without taking attention away from the focus of the piece, which of course is the horse's head. And his mane is going to be colorful. I've experimented quite a bit by now with hand dyeing. The purses were hand dyed, with fabric painting. In the beginning I was buying expensive threads and couching them and things like that, and I've tried to always keep the quality high but the cost low. It's very hard when you're investing in expensive machines and things like that to actually make a profit and help your family and have it go beyond a hobby. I think what I want to do is have a real light thread in this black, and my plan right now is to just stitch in between and not hit any of the dots for the most part. I'm proud of the horses. I do want to do human faces, and I feel that these horses are good practice. I've only done one human face so far. I do wash these pieces. I like the way that it shrinks them, of course after I've heat set the horse himself, and it frays these edges and then I trim them. It's just like cut-offs. For a long time my design wall was a piece of insulation, rigid insulation, that I didn't even cover with felt or batting. It might have been a lot nicer to have it covered. And if you have a portable one like that, the nice thing is you can put it anywhere where you can get a good distance away and look at it, and then you can store it even with your piece pinned to it in some cases behind a headboard, or, you know, in a hallway, in the guest room, wherever you want to do that. I know there are a lot of great instructions on how to make a design wall out of various materials, and please treat yourself to one somehow. Find a way to do it. And I even spent a long time after we used the insulation that I had for some project. For a long time I was just nailing things up on the wall, in the same wall where my sewing machine is now. In the sewing room, when I was working on a bunch of little pieces, I would just hammer them up there. First I'd pin them until they had sleeves on the back, and then I would hammer them up there. And this is an old house, and I've learned how to patch walls really well, but you know, it's nice now that I've gone ahead and put up a piece of insulation that's covered with batting. And it's nice because often I don't even have to pin. Stuff will just stay up there with friction. When I was doing all those watercolor quilts in the beginning, they really teach you about the value, the relative value of fabrics, not the color, because a fabric that's green and a fabric that is purple can both seem just as dark. If you photograph them in black and white, they might appear the same. And so from a distance they're going to read the same, because you really only pick up the broad strokes of your design from a distance. I've regretted this. I've made a few pieces where I didn't get a good enough look at them until they were completely done, and in some cases out the door. That Hoffman challenge that I showed earlier is the only time I've ever entered my work in any type of a contest or juried quilt venue, other than art fairs where you show your work and it's all kinds of different media together. But early on, those types of things were always on my list to do, just like getting published was on my list to do. But I found that selling directly to people who liked my work enough to write me a check, that gave me the money to keep going. I think what I'm trying to say with all of this is, this is your artwork. It's an expression of who you are. Trust yourself. Find a way to make what your heart is telling you is true, workable in your life, and treat yourself to a design wall, even if it's a piece of raw blue insulation that you stick in the hallway when you're not using it.